looks. So, guys and girls, this is a show for us to recap what's happened in the week. Normally, it's a bit skewed for the transfer window because lots has happened in the last week. I don't really want to rehash absolutely everything. I want to look at a few new aspects. And then, of course, we'll talk about Man United. There's been team news that has come out from Tottenham. Lots of people missing. So we will go into that. Look at what the team's going to be, and then we'll get your comments. So get any questions in, smash the like button, subscribe to Sean, subscribe to Savva, and let's all be happy and have a lovely weekend. Sean, it has been a busy week at Tottenham Hotspur. It's been very, very chaotic with players coming, players going. Will the club be pleased, do you think, that we're getting to a bit of calm and let's actually get back to, that thing that football clubs do where they play a game of football? Do you think they'll be quietly happy that we're getting away from the transfer stuff and actually going to play a game?
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of relief from the coaching staff and the playing staff, given the amount of injuries we've got, given the new knocks that we've got now as well. That we've got the two guys through the door. We haven't lost anybody that we didn't that we needed to, or we didn't want to lose, so to speak, in Eric Dyer and Hugo Lloris. And now we can pivot back. But I would imagine that the guys that are in charge of identifying the talent and going out and trying to source, new opportunities, I'm sure they're still hard at work. This is what they're paid for, right? This is their job doesn't finish as soon as the 11th of January comes around and the second guy signs. If there's opportunities out there, I hope that Paratici and Langer and all Rob McKenzie and all that lot, I hope that they're still working hard, because I'm sure there's a lot of value still to be found in this window, both ingoings and outgoings. But for us personally, I think it's nice for us to be able to pivot back to football. Tough game coming up on the Sunday though, mate. Really tough game. I don't know which way it's going to go, but I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Yeah. I'm very much. It's been a good week, mate. It's been a good last few days to be a Tottenham fan. So hopefully the momentum can carry on into the weekend too.
Do you know what? Spot on there. Everything you've said. I think it's really, really key. I think sometimes as football fans we think that, oh, don't worry, we'll pick up the window again starting in like May. We'll go again in May. This is their full-time job, right? They're the window might shut on the 31st of January, but their job from the 1st of February right the way through to when the window opens again on the 1st of June, whatever it is to be looking for the next bunch of players.
Yeah. What a job to have, mate. Can you imagine, like, Paratici? I know obviously he's had a lot of stresses in the last sort of 2 years with the issues he's been going through, but a Rob McKenzie who's employed primarily to be a video analyst, right? So his job, he wakes up in the morning and all day, every day, his job is to either be handed a list of potential players or to find a list of potential players that he thinks might find value or add value to something. What a job. I don't know how much they get paid, but I mean,
it doesn't matter. I'd do it.
Sitting there and getting paid to watch football all day, I would do it as well. I'd love to do it. I just don't know enough about football to be able to add value in that gig. But
hang on. You do it every day with Y Scout. All you would be doing is doing it with video at the football club. So
no, I know, but I could. All I'm looking for is like, oh, that was a good ping, or that was a good tackle. But these guys are obviously looking in, like they're zoning in on finer detail. You'd hope finer detail than what I've got in my head.
But, yeah, and of course, I think what these guys. I think one thing we always forget as well. Listen, we all do it. Football fans, all football fans. It doesn't matter whether you're a fan, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you are. It doesn't matter who you are. We all are guilty of going, we should buy.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've not looked at this guy. But what do you know what I mean? What the pros will do is if I'm a scout at Tottenham, if I'm a video analyst, whatever, my network is such that I'm ringing up and going, listen, we're thinking of buying this guy. I know you had him or you scouted him at that club. How did you find him? They go, his attitude wasn't great, or he was always late to training, and all these little things that we wouldn't know. They would absolutely.
The micro stuff, right?
Yeah.
But also, how satisfying would it be, right? If you're like the Brighton guy, because Brighton have got a really good track record of doing it recently. But I don't know who the guys are at Brighton, but for them to go and find some 15-year-old, or the guy who discovered Erling Haaland, the guy that discovered Bernardo Silva, the guy that first discovered Ronaldo or Messi or whoever, right? To be able to sit there and go, I saw this kid playing at 12 years old, and I saw something special. And it was because of me that he got the opportunity to go here. And then you watch the guy just progress through his career. I mean, it must be super satisfying to see your work or your identification like flourish, blossom like a flower into one of the world's best players. And that your employment saw that your club got the benefit of that guy for a certain amount of time. Must be a brilliant, brilliant feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. A big up, Craig Nichols said, big up Savva Sean, the best couple on YouTube for sure. Oh, I like that. We're a couple. You guys should just stream
Shotgun,
together.
big spoon. Shotgun, big spoon.
Well, Sean and I were talking about moving in together just to see if it makes life easier. But no, listen, thank you, Craig. Appreciate nice words. Really, really nice. Big up to everyone in the chat as well. Smash the like button and please subscribe to both channels. And we've got a new channel member, Paul Watkins, with a lovely picture of I want to say that's not the UK. I'm going to go with that. Let me know where that picture is. But Paul Watkins has become a YouTube member. Big up to you, Paul. Really, really appreciate your support. So thank you very much for that. One of the things I want to talk about before we get into the Man United game, obviously it's nice that we are playing again. Always looking fresh, Phil, apart from the last month where I didn't look fresh. I had a little look earlier on. I saw a few conversations about, has Ange been backed? You know, it's the same thing. It don't insert name. Doesn't need to be Ange. Insert name. Has been backed. And I started looking on transfer market and look and see, we've actually spent a hell of a lot of money since the beginning of the summer. We've spent a lot of money. And this manager's had quite a few players, by the way. And the reason I bring that up is because
are we including Pedro Porro and Kulusevski money in there as well?
I'm good at I'm gonna show you. So I was just giving myself a compliment via Phil P. So if we here we go. If we have a look at this, hopefully it is a tiny bit small, but I needed to get them all on one page, as you saw me fiddling about beforehand. These are the signings and the outgoings that have happened so far under this manager, which are crazy when you actually think about how many names are on either side of those in those columns. This has all happened since June. Right? This has all happened in the space of I mean, I would say 7 months, but yeah, 7 months and 12 days. That's a lot of outgoings, right? Whether or not, I know some of them are going to be loan, but you look, Harry Kane, Winks, Sanchez, Lucas Moura, Hugo, Dyer. There's 6 that have definitely gone. Then you've got the likes of Roden, Tanganga, Reguilon. That's 3. Jed Spence is 4. Ashley Phillips is 5. That's another 5 or 6 or 7 loans. If you look at Alfie Devine as well. It's been a busy old time at Spurs, but things are definitely shifting, right? The tides are changing. Fair?
Yeah, 100%. I think that there was this, like, after the Conte exit, and obviously initially the Paratici verdict, I think, you know, there was a really bad energy around the club from the fans wanted blood. There was everything. I remember back in it, like I mean, I feel really regretful about doing this, but I went on to, I think it was We Are Tottenham TV once. I'd had a few beers and I was so angry that I even said, "Oh, I think I've gone to Levy out." I put the phone down. Just what I mean. No, I mentioned it once. I know people did clip it, right? People did clip it. I mentioned it once, and then I came off the thing, and I woke up the next day and went, "Oh, I didn't really mean that," but that's how, you know, that's what it took. I was that frustrated, and if I was that frustrated, you can imagine how people that are, you know, that were Levy out were feeling, etc. And but then since Ange has come in, like it's almost like a kind of like a breath of fresh air. Like the clouds lifted, the energy changed. And then obviously the club have got behind him, looking at these, like the long list there. Lots of ingoings, lots of outgoings. And we're nowhere near finished on that whole journey.
Yeah.
But it's been quite a remarkable transformation in results, performance, energy, personnel, not just on the playing staff, but the coaching staff, the scouting staff, you know, everything, even decisions around things like pricing on FA Cup tickets. Like I was expecting them to put the prices of the Man City game right back up again because it's a Category 1 game, but they didn't. They kept it, or they moved it to £35, which I think is very reasonable. But everything seems to be moving in the right direction at Tottenham. Everyone seems to be happier, and I hope that Daniel Levy's sort of taking note that sometimes I think that he misses the wood for the trees with his business sense. Sometimes he doesn't need to always think about the money. Sometimes he can think about other things and get a lot more juice from the squeeze, a lot more kind of good faith from the fan base if better decisions are made that are more reasonable. And like I say, right now, there's just that one screenshot there is just a testament of how of the amount of transition that's happening at Tottenham, and it's all for the better. There really isn't any players on that left-hand side that have been terrible signings, and there really isn't that many players on the right-hand side, absent one really, Harry Kane, that you would have wished was still at the club.
Right? Yeah, and let's be honest, the one that you mentioned there in Harry Kane, most of that money would have sanctioned a lot of what you saw on the left-hand side. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think you're right. Look, as fans, I need to be really clear with this, right? From my perspective, that we had a chat on the phone this morning, Sean. I said, listen, one thing I can't do in life is I can't ask and ask and ask and ask for something to change. Then when it does, or listen, I'm not saying, oh my God, 100% everything's amazing, but when it starts to go in that general direction, what I can't do is go, yeah, I hate it. I can't do that. That's not fair. That doesn't
meet people in the middle, right? When someone makes, it's like, bit of compromise. When someone makes a movement in the direction you want, you got to take a step forward too, to kind of offer your hand, olive branches, so to speak.
Right, absolutely. Now, what that doesn't mean I'm going to do, Sean, is just turn around and go, oh my God, I love every single signing. They're all amazing. We're winning leagues. I'm not going to do that. But you're right. When you look down that left-hand side, look, there are a few players there that I'm umming and ahhing about. Brennan Johnson, I am and ah about. Obviously,
the jury's definitely set out on him, especially with the price tag. He's not responsible for the price tag. And of course, the fact that he's homegrown, if he was French, that number would be 25 or 35 million euros, not 55. So, that's just unfortunately goes with the territory. But yeah, sorry, mate, I've interrupted you. I've had too many coffees.
No, mate. It's all good. It's all good. Look, the overarching point I wanted to make here was, and I think it's just off the bottom of the screen there. You can see there, for anyone that can't see, that figure at the bottom is 272 million euros, which by the power of using Google tells me that it's just over 233 million pounds sterling. Now, if this is a manager that's had one summer and not even half a January, 233 million. If Levy continues to do this, do you think this will, and I include myself in here, Sean, I've got to include myself in here, will this settle fans that have been ENIC Levy out? Do you think they're going to move that quickly, or do you think that there needs to be this needs to be a constant, not the amount of money, but that this needs to be, look, yeah, we're happy, but it needs to be every window. We need to see this January, summer. How do you think it's going to shift in terms of mindset of fans, maybe like me?
I think that there'll be some people that will dig their heels in, right, and that won't want to see the positive because they're kind of, they're attached to that opinion, and sort of go and changing that will be a bit of a stretch, I think, in terms of just them, but I think there's the moderates that have erred on the kind of the Levy outside that are certainly, it's like I don't know, like voting Conservative or Labour. You're going to have some people, no matter how bad Labour do or no matter how bad Conservative do, they are always going to vote one way or the other. And then hopefully you get, and in an ideal world, you'd want as large a sway as possible in that middle zone that are willing to be, persuaded either way. And I think that will be the case with something like an opinion on Daniel Levy or the football club. Like, you'd hope that there'd be the kind of majority of people in the middle that will move which way the wind is going as is necessary. When it comes to spend, like, I think that 270 million, I find it a little bit disingenuous of transfer, or to say that Pedro Porro should be attached to Ange's name, to say that Kulusevski should be attached to Ange's name. I feel like those two kind
Ange made the decision on Kulu, didn't he? Ange had the option.
Yeah, true.
Porro, I get, but I mean, in general. By the way, I just seen a comment I just wanted to come to, and Ash, listen. By the way, from me, what I'm not sitting here praising Levy. What I'm saying is, what we're seeing, not all of it, but a lot of it is what I've wanted for years. years and years and years, is a plan of action. For me, I agree. I agree with your second statement in part. With we haven't exactly signed Van Dijk or Alisson. Now, Sean, I mentioned this to you a number of times that for me, I think that's the type of signing I think we need moving forward. I'm not saying now, not in a January transfer window.
Yeah.
But that's what I think we do need moving forward. But I do think people are forgetting where we were when Conte left and the squad that we had.
Mm-hmm.
We did look in disarray. Now, of course, you could say that's Levy and that's the staff, that's the scouts. But all you can ask is that they fix that. And so far, the journey is fixing it. I'm not going overboard about it. It's fixing. I see a plan. And there's one thing that I wanted to show. And the reason, Ash, I brought your comment up, not having a go at you, mate, is I wanted to show you this. And I don't know who this account is, by the way. I do know who this account is. It's called Football Wonder Kids. Hopefully you can all see that. And somebody sent this to me earlier and said, look at this. This is quite interesting. And I thought it was a worthy talking point. The Spurs, it says Spurs official are building quite the core to grow with. And apparently all of these are 23 or under. And you think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All 10 of those players have been signed in the last 12 months. Now, okay, you could say Destiny and Doggy was...
6 of them are first teamers as well, right?
Right. But look, you could say that Destiny was signed before, and if we're going to be pernickety, you could say Kulu was. But you got 10 players there, all under 23 years of age. And as you said, there's none there that you look at and go... dreadful. Like, I think we know Manuel Solomon. We know what he's there for. We know that Valise, Vuskovic and Phillips are going to be kids. The other 6 are first team, first 11 regular players. So that's a good thing. Right? That's a good sign. It shows a plan, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%, mate. You've been asking. I remember streaming with you all last season. The amount of times we were talking about ethos and philosophy that wasn't there.
Yes. Yeah,
you know, and we were like, we got to rip the whole thing apart and start again with what is it that you want to be? The next time that you bring in a manager and you know he plays an attractive football, if that's what you want, then the next time if it doesn't work out with him, and it might not end up working out with Ange, like he might not win a trophy, but you don't then want to sack him or him leave or whatever in 3 or 4 years' time and then go back to a defensive manager. Once you've got that sort of philosophy in place, the style of football in place, the next manager you want, the next cab off the rank should come in and continue what we're building here so that you have fewer square pegs in round holes. And when you're signing these players on 5-year deals, 4, 5, 6-year deals, and look, the average lifespan of a Premier League manager is about a year, isn't it? About 14 months or something. So it's not there's good. Every likelihood that a lot of these players will be here for not just the next manager after Ange, but the one after that. So it's really important that the plan includes a longer term philosophy of, you know, playing the football that you want. And hopefully, you know, there'll be just like what Brighton have done, you know, after they lost, who was the guy who went to Chelsea? What was his name? My mind's gone blank. The Brighton manager that went to Chelsea.
Oh, Potter.
After Potter, they had, you know, 5 or 6 managers that they knew were going to continue, and they ended up with De Zerbi, but they also were thinking about Angepostecoglou. They were thinking about other managers. So you'd hope that part of this new system that we have also includes, you know, a potential list of managerial upgrades. That's, you know, for the future. I'm not advocating any of that now, but you'd hope that this is what the plan involves, right? A continuation of a philosophy, and everything's in place to be buying the best young talent. To the point that the guy brought up about this isn't a Van Dijk or an Alisson. I think the other thing is, like, to find a Van Dijk today or an Alisson today is going to cost you ridiculous money. Even though Tottenham bring in a lot of money as a football club, the inflation in prices of established players is accelerating far faster than the football clubs are able to generate revenues to compete. But Tottenham are one step ahead, but everyone needs to pivot and go back and try and find and take risks on these wonder kids, because that's the only way that you can really find value. Now, Mickey van der Ven, we took an expensive punt on him and it's really worked out. Udogie, we took an expensive punt on him and it's really worked out. Pape Sarr, not a particularly expensive. Oh, sorry, Udogie wasn't an expensive punt, but 18 million quid for him, whatever it was, 12 million quid for Sarr. these players now are worth 50, 60 million, which is wonderful. But if Tottenham were to go and try and find a Van Dijk or an Alisson now, those players are going to cost 120 million quid. And you can't go and do that when you've inherited a team or when you're trying to clear out so much deadwood. Tottenham had so much deadwood that the first phase of that, the first and second phase of that, needs to be a bit about volume. And I honestly we had to go and buy that many. We saw how many players we've signed. So you can't go and spend £100 million on each of those different players, the 6 players that are first teamers. You have to take the risk and hope that you get it right. But now we've got the core. I think hopefully in the summer, there should be enough money and there should be not that much need to go and find 5 or 6 new players in the summer. Hopefully in the summer, it will just be about 1 or 2 more players, a striker, maybe a winger that has that fear factor. Savva, we were talking about the fear factor that we don't have, and maybe a central midfielder. So 3 players, 60 million quid each, something like that. And Tottenham are ready for a title charge. But we've done the hard work. We've put in the groundwork. We've got the guys, the scouts, everyone who's found these brilliant talents at a young age. And now the last parts of the jigsaw is the creme de la creme that just drops in 2 or 3 crucial positions, and we're good to go.
Yeah, look, I think the key thing is like Bill. I see what you're saying. Like I saw your last message as well. When you're saying praising it. I'm not praising. I'm glad my club finally has something that I can look at and say, I understand what we're doing. Now, does that mean I think that we're set for life? No, it's something that's got to be proved. It can't be one window. You've got to do what the big boys do. You've got to do it every window. You've got to do it. And that's the thing. When people talk about Man City, for example, they spent money, but Man City spend it well. Window after window after window. They very rarely get one wrong. I'm not saying they've got everyone right, but they very rarely get them wrong. Like Calvin Phillips, they'll probably look at and say, yeah, wasn't right. But on the main, the players they bring in do well, stay at the club for years, win them things, and then they move them on for money. I'm just pleased at last. Now, I'm not going to praise Levy. I'm not going to praise Levy for it because I do believe that this is his job. But at the same time, I can turn around and say, okay, cool. It looks like as a club, whether that's Levy with Lang in his ear, Paratici in his ear, Postecoglou in his ear, whoever's in his ear, Scott Munn, whoever, I'm just pleased that finally it looks like, okay, let's have a plan. Let's have a pathway. And I think that's a good thing. I get it, right? I'm not their biggest fan, Sean. You know I'm not Levy and Innick's biggest fan. But if they are implementing what I've asked for over a number of years, I can't turn around and be a hypocrite and say, oh, I hate that. I can't. Yeah. I just can't do it. That's not right in this day and age to do that. But listen, I want to move towards the Man United game because some news came out earlier. Some news. I'm just going to try and find out what was said. So this was the news that came out, and lots of people were wondering who was going to play, picking their 11, and I think the 11 kind of picks itself now. It says Angepostecoglou has confirmed that Ben Davies, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Dane Scarlett will miss Sunday's trip to Man United. I was thinking, oh, that's not bad when I first read that. Okay, all right, we knew 2 of them. That's all right. Christian Romero, James Maddison, Ivan Perisic, and Manuel Solomon remain out. It's like, okay, well, we thought Romero might be back in contention after everything that's happened this week. And then Son, Papa Sarr, and bissouma are all away. So that's 10 players that are away. It kind of leaves the 11 to pick itself, Sean, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you'll still see Romero on the bet. If you look at, he actually said Romero's only just rejoined the squad. It's probably, or it might be a bit too soon for him. Now, just bear in mind that against Bournemouth, he didn't even mention Bentancur. So yes. And Bentancur popped up. So I think I don't know if there could be a little bit of 3D or 4D chess going on there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Romero on the bench. Not that necessarily we're going to need to use him or play him. It might be a risk anyway. But in terms of everything else, I wasn't expecting Maddison back. We knew the players who were away on international duty are away. Dane Scarlett. I mean, look, God forbid, if we hadn't signed Timo Werner, right? We were saying the other day, God forbid something happens to Richarlison, you've got Dane Scarlett. But if Dane Scarlett's now out, God forbid something happens to Richarlison, then we've got we would have had absolutely no one. So the few people out there that are criticizing the Timo Werner deal, like the speed, the expedition of getting that in as quickly as it has could prove pivotal just on a numbers basis, because we are threadbare at the top end of the pitch for the time being. I was expecting Manor Solomon to be ahead of where he clearly is. So we don't have that many options. I think our bench will be relatively threadbare again. I think you'll see the likes of Donley on there. I think you'll see the likes of
Brian Hill, Donley, Orrington.
Yeah, but I think we can still put out. Yeah. But I think we can put out a relatively strong first 11. I think you're still going to see Porro, Udogie, Van der Ven, and let's see, maybe Dragerson come straight in with Vicaria behind it. I think the midfield three will be Bentancur, Skip or Højbjerg, one of those two, and Decky, and then the front three will be Richarlison, Werner, and Brennan Johnson. So I think that we've got enough in our first 11 to cause problems and hopefully to see out any problems that Man United can throw our way. I'm still confident we can come away with the points from the game. It's just if something was to happen during the game, then I don't know what if we go 1-0 or 2-0 down, I don't know where we're going to find any solutions off the bench,
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Yeah, someone messaged me earlier. Someone who's always in my chats, actually, always sends me content and stuff and said, look, the team picks itself. This is going to be the bench. And most of it boils down to, he said, is going to be the shooting boots of the front three, right? This is. I've got no doubt in my mind we will create chances. I've got no doubt we'll create chances. I've got no doubt that pace of Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner is going to cause havoc. Again, this all boils down to me, Sean. Do Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, and Timo Werner, do they have enough clinical? Are they clinical enough to see this game over the line? Because no Maddison, no Son, it has been at times a struggle to score goals.
Yeah. But you know what? Like, if you're going to play a game, if you can bring up the thing I've just put on the screen there, mate.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting stat, right? Really interesting thing. So this is the contributions from the bench this season, right? So Liverpool's bench has provided, in the Premier League, has provided 15 goals and 15 assists.
Wow.
Aston Villa, 8 and 10. He goes down and you can see that Tottenham's bench has only provided 2 goals and 3 assists.
Squads, right? Squads. Yeah. This is absolutely it.
Squads and injuries and injuries in key places. Tottenham have had a lot of issues with our front line and a lot of absentees. So, I think it tells its own point. The team at the very top of the league has been the team that hasn't had as many injuries as some of the other teams around them, but has been able to go to the bench and get not just goals and assists, but match-winning goals and assists time and time again. And they're the team that are, that are outperforming expectations. And the team that are second are the other team in the league that are massively outperforming expectations, Liverpool and Aston Villa, right? First and third in the league. No one thought Liverpool would be top of the league. No one thought Villa would be third. And it just goes to show you.
Villa are second. That's the
top Villa are second. Well, there you go. The top two in the league are also the top two in utilising the bench, which for me is tells its own tale. And it hopefully Tottenham now are getting to the point where when you've got a full fit 11, and the players then that are in this team now that drop to the bench, hopefully Tottenham then will be able to climb up that ladder for the second half of the season.
I'll tell you what. Do you know what? I've not seen this before, and this is a really good indicator, I suppose, of squad depth, if we're brutally honest. And in some ways, you would say, well, it's an indictment of injuries and suspensions, but also just the lack of depth that the 3 teams below us are the bottom. Let me just double check before I say that. Are the bottom 2 in the league, Sheffield United and Burnley, and then the other team is Nottingham Forest, who have had to sack their manager. So it's quite a sad indictment, really, that's where it is. I would fully expect that over time, this will slowly but surely will creep up. Like you said, I think once Maddison and Son are back and just for argument's sake, a Johnson or a Werner are coming off the bench rather than starting, hopefully then you're seeing a bit more of an impact. When at some point Kulu will find himself on the bench in certain games. At some point, I don't know, Bentancur might, and these players can come on and help you. So listen, that's a really good That's a really good indicator. And look, this is why I've always said that Liverpool for me will be second in the table, because even the other night that they're struggling to score goals. They make a couple of changes that completely change the complexity of the game against Fulham. Not sure if you saw it. They brought on Nunes and Gakpo, and both of them changed the game like that for Liverpool. And that's what you need, right? It doesn't always have to be about an 11. It's squad, right? But
so the point is, for me, for this weekend, and probably for the City game, we're going to be struggling. But you'd hope that by Brentford, or maybe not even by Brentford, by the game after, which I think is Everton away, by that point, you'd hope you're going to have a fully fit Romero. Van der Ven will be fully fit. I don't know if you'll have Sarr or Bissouma back yet. Maybe one of them will have had their been exited from their competition. We should then, all we're then waiting for is really Sonny's return, and hopefully that we're going to be able to look to the bench to get the points that are going to get us up the table and maintain our Champions League run. But if we continue to have injuries and continue to have to field strong 11s but weak benches, then it's going to continue to hold us back a little. Not continue to hold us back, but continue to to not allow us to get the most juice from the squeeze.
Do you know what I find interesting? I'd love to see that graph from the year when Spurs finished second under Pochettino. I wonder what that would look like, because that was a very good 11. And then you looked at the bench and it was, I mean, could anyone name who was coming off the bench? Llorente.
Yeah. Wow.
Was Lucas there? No, I think this was before Lucas, wasn't it? We had Llorente. Was maybe Nasser Chadley was still there. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't really a lot. So really interesting. So in your mind, you think that Romero will make the squad? You think he'll make the bench at least?
I think so. I mean, Ash Phillips has been sent out on loan. Yeah, look, I'm speculating massively, but it was just that the language that he used was that Romero's back in first. He's just joined us in first team training, but Sunday might come a little bit too soon for him. But I just think that, I'd be very surprised if Tottenham were going to expect Van der Ven to play 90 minutes on his first game back. I'd be very surprised if they were going to expect Dragusin to play 90 minutes with no Ben Davies. Is Emerson Royale will be on the bench, I'd assume.
Do you not think he'll start? Do you not think he'll start for continuity?
Possibly, yeah. It depends. I mean, so was yesterday? Was Dragusin's first day in training, right? So he's had 2 training sessions.
Would it have been yesterday? I mean,
would have been today. Maybe it's today. Was it his 1 day in training? He was definitely on the training pitch today. I've seen the photos. Maybe he's only had 1 session. If he's only had 1 session, then unless he's just, everyone's gone, wow, he's not going to know the roles and responsibilities, what you're supposed to do when Porro gets caught upfield in a transition. It's going to take time to learn the specifics of Angeball. So, you know what, Savva, I wouldn't be surprised actually to see Emerson Royale and Van der Ven come back in. Certainly Van der Ven will play, right? He'll have to, because we have got no Ben Davies. It's not going to be Dorrington, is it? So...
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, I was thinking, we're saying he's only had 1 training session, but have Van der Ven and Emerson Royale played together at the back at all? Do we know? Have they had a game where they've played centre half together? So I think whatever 2 we put out on Sundays, it's going to be brand new, isn't it? Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. And then you've got that conundrum in front of them of it's this age-old Skip, Højbjerg debate. And when I say this age old, what I mean is I think most people would acknowledge that Højbjerg is the better footballer, but for whatever reason he's playing Skip. That for me is potentially a danger. Skip playing brand new back 2, I think we might see a shaky 20. I could be wrong. I could be massively wrong. I think we've got to give a little bit of leeway that it could be a bit shaky at the beginning of the game.
Well, that's why I'd rather us go, rather than 4-3-3, I'd rather us do 4-2-3-1. And then if you're going to pick Skip, you slot Bentancur in beside him and kind of keep it a little bit, give him a little bit of support defensively, and then allow Decky a bit more freedom to kind of just control the kind of midfield, on the other side of the halfway line. But listen, at the same time, mate, I worry. I was having this conversation earlier on my video about And I think we've spoken about it. Like for me, Decky on the ball is best in the middle. But off the ball, I prefer Decky on the right because he gets back and supports Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro, as much as he's improving massively defensively, and as much as I think he's one of the best right backs in the league this year, he's at his best when he's got Sarr in front of him and Decky's on the right when we're off the ball, because he gets that support both from the midfielder and from the right winger. When Sarr's not there and it's Skip, he doesn't get the same support.
Skip and Brennan Johnson in front of him.
And if Brennan Johnson's in front of them and Skippy's there, then Pedro Porro gets isolated. And so I was watching this 4-4-2 video. There was a brief, very quick 4-4-2 video that came out last night. And he was talking about, the guy who did the video was talking about that Radu Dragusin actually, you might find in certain games, could play alongside Romero and Van de Ven as a right back in scenarios where maybe you're playing against the Manchester City, maybe you're playing against the Liverpool, where obviously the desire to go narrow with the two inverted fullbacks sometimes leaves you exposed in the channels. But if you actually have a right back who has been trained as a centre back, is more naturally inclined to know how to defend against one-on-ones that Pedro Porro doesn't know. And so by having Radu Dragusin at right back in certain scenarios, Romero next to him, and then Van de Ven next to him, and then Udogie, you've actually got kind of do what Manchester City do. Essentially, you've got 4 ball-playing defenders, but all of them are trained in the art of one-on-one defending as centre backs. And you could extrapolate that argument out and say, actually, maybe that's why Tottenham identified Dragusin, is that he's a centre back, but he can also play right back. Van de Ven is a left-sided centre back that can also play left back. Ben Davies is a left back who can also play left-sided centre back. So maybe there'll be scenarios where, not necessarily just in games against high-line, top 3 opposition, but in scenarios where you're protecting a lead, you're 1-0 up, and you still want to push forward, but rather than having the risk of Porro there getting exposed by teams that want to break and go at you down the left or the right channel, you can bring him off, bring on Radu Dragusin and shore things up without the need to kind of ask Romero to come over and double up on the left winger of the opposition. I think it's quite an interesting thought process, a thought experiment to think about the combinations of centre-backs that you can actually use. Obviously, none of them are ready right now, but I'm talking about, by the end of the season and into next season, we could have scenarios where you have 4 centre-backs on the pitch in certain scenarios, all of whom can still get forward and play the ball, but ultimately, when required, can handle the defensive responsibility. So I don't know if I'm just rambling, man. The coffee's going through me.
No. It's good. Listen, I completely agree with you. Lots of good comments coming in. I completely agree with you. Let me go. I've got a couple of super chats and a comment I want to say. Jimmy, when we're saying the teams that are very high on that list, the teams that haven't had suffered injuries, I think you've got to go back and check. Sorry, I keep coming to this because everyone keeps throwing this out there. If you go and look, these clubs have had injuries. They have had injuries. Liverpool fans will tell you, well, we haven't had Thiago Alcantara for the entire season. Andy Robertson's missed the last 16 games. Diaz has missed 11 games. Yotta's missed 9 games. Tsimikas is now out injured. Van Dijk's missed games. They're now missing Sattler. So I feel like we can't just say, Matip has missed most of the season. We do this a lot. Villa, Tyrone Mings is injured for the whole season, who's important to them. Moreno was out injured. Aaron Ramsey was out injured for quite a lot. Liam Bailey was out injured. Buendia's missed nearly all of the season. So, listen, I'm not saying it's all about who's had more, but these clubs have had injuries. For me, it's not about that. It's about they've got better squads. They've got more players than we have. That's the difference between injuries. That's just for me. Big up Blaine Dev, always very, very generous. Said, what's going on, Savva? I've caught 2 of your streams today. Big up, lads. Well, Blaine Dev, this is only my second stream, and my last stream of the day. So big up to you. Thank you. Said, question, do we sell Do we sell Brian Hill this window with Solomon coming back soon? Sean, is selling Hill dependent on Solomon coming back, or would you sell Brian Hill anyway if there's a taker?
I would, I'd sell Brian Hill, as much as it kills me to say it, because I felt like he was like a little brother to me. Like I've always wanted him to come in and do well. There's a player in there for sure, and I know he'll go on and have a good career, but I just don't feel like it's worked out at Tottenham. I don't feel like he's, he runs around very like he's trying to chase after, like Bugsy chases after the ball. But I think sometimes when he gets the ball, he doesn't really know what to do with it. And I think that he somewhat frustrates me a little bit with his decision making in the final third. Sometimes he doesn't want to take the players on. I just don't know necessarily if he's a good fit for this system either. And look, if the noise does rise up about him moving on, I think we spoke about this yesterday, right? Would you tolerate losing him now on like a loan with an obligation if it meant that, you know, even if you couldn't necessarily replace him this summer or this January, but it meant that you definitely had funds to go big at, you know, go and get a proper terrorizing left winger in the summer? I probably would, mate. I feel like there's a really good player in there for someone, but I just don't think it's for Tottenham anymore.
Yeah. But listen, I'll be honest. I'd let him go. I don't think it matters what happens. For what we get out of Hill, I don't see the difference between putting him in for 15 minutes at the end of games and Santiago or Donnelly. If we're going to be brutally honest, he's not coming on getting loads of assists, chipping in with goals, is he? So, you know, for me, I think if he comes in, lots of people today are saying that Feyenoord are interested in him. So obviously the cogs are moving. Oh, hang on. Give him to Feyenoord plus 30 million. Can we take Santiago Jimenez the other way? Now that would be something. And another super chat here from Jason Mills. Thank you so much, Jason. Always very generous as well. So just pinching myself, Savva. Really can't believe we've done the business. Confident about our team now. Come on, you Spurs. Listen, it's good to see us moving early. I'll always caveat, always caveat, say really happy with Dragoshin. Werner, I'm on the fence. I think everyone knows that. I want to be wrong. I really hope that he comes in, hits the ground running, and has a great end to the season. But yeah, you're right. It's very pinch yourself moment that it's the 12th of January and there's a sense of calm that we've done two things already. So yes, you are right. So big up to you. Thank you so much, Jason. Really appreciate that. Please do keep smashing the like button. There's just under 500 of you in here and only 136 likes, which is really, really poor. So let's smash that button.
Seen this. Someone in the chat drew my attention to it. There's an article from HITC that references
Scott Olsen.
An op-ed from a guy called Paul Ocon, a former Leeds United, Middlesbrough and Watford defender who's Australian. And obviously he said this article says he possesses a detailed knowledge of Ange Postecoglou. And the guy says Andreas should never be playing for Club Brugge. I don't say that out of a lack of respect. He should be playing for Tottenham Hotspur with their manager, the Australian manager Postecoglou. That's how good Andreas is. You have to ask him why he still plays in Belgium. He is destined for the very top. I love Scott Olsen. I love Scott Olsen. I think he's brilliant.
Well, let's through the power of the internet. So is this what we're talking about? Is a 20 million star told he should play for Tottenham amid Mo Salah comparison. Now, this is the worst thing I think people do in football is when a player is compared to another player who has had a wildly successful career. I always feel like it's massively unnecessary pressure at such a young age.
He's nothing like Mo Salah. I would never. I mean, almost lose respect for the guy if he's saying he's like Mo Salah. He's nothing. He's not that sort of player at all, to be honest. But I think he's just a brilliant player. I've loved him for the last 2.5 years. I think he disappointed at the World Cup. He was like Denmark were terrible in the World Cup. So, you know, like sometimes you got to say, well, maybe the team just didn't kind of handle it. But I think Scott Olsen is excellent. I'd love him to come to Tottenham. But you know what? Sometimes it terrifies me. Sometimes you can give your opinions, right, about players that you'd love to see in a Tottenham shirt, knowing full well that they probably won't ever make it to the Premier League or to Tottenham. Yeah. So, like, you can maintain your opinion and know that it never has to be proven right or wrong or whatever because it won't happen. But if it does happen, suddenly you're the guy that's been talking about it for the last 2 years. And if he comes in and stinks the place out, then you're the guy who's at fault. Yeah, Butler. God's sake, Butler, you're the reason you're responsible for Scott Olsen not working out at Tottenham. No, that's not how it works. I'm just a guy in a chair.
Absolutely. Look, I've seen him play. I think he looks like a good prospect. Looks like a good young player. But there's many of them out there, and I suppose that's what the scouts are paid for. Lots of people, not this. Big up to you, Rob _Hotspur, talking about Romero is 100% playing. Not even a debate. I would probably say it is a debate. The fact that our manager has come out today and said he's not in the squad. But I mean, if he does play, it wouldn't surprise me. But I do think it's a little bit of a debate, Rob. Lots of people have been asking questions in and around this type of thing. Let me see if I can find it. I've literally just moved it on. I shouldn't. Right. So Alpesh, big up to you, Alpesh. Some people have been messaging me in my YouTube comments. Go, Sav, would you play Dragusin as a CDM? Would you play Romero as the CDM? My answer's been I wouldn't want to go to Old Trafford and try an experiment a number 6 there. I don't mind experimenting a number 6 at home to Burnley, like home to Luton. I don't really want to experiment at Old Trafford with playing centre backs there.
Do you think he could do it though? Like as a thought experiment, a hypothetical. Do you think Romero's got the ball playing skills to be able to handle it and the temperament?
Two different things you mentioned there. Ball playing skills, no doubt.
Yeah.
Right. See, I look at this. If you look at John Stones, right? John Stones is the guy who's done this the best out of all centre halves in the last couple of years, right? But John Stones is very cool, calm, and collected as a character. Yeah, John Stones doesn't dive in. John Stones is listen, but I'm not saying Romero's not. John Stones is an excellent footballer, right? Forget defender, he's an excellent footballer. Goes in with ease. My worry with Romero going in there would be not his ability to play.
Oh, he'll get sent
no
off
doubt about that.
Twice as often.
You are?
He'll get sent off twice as often in the 6.
Yeah. That's my worry. Is when people are counter-attacking, when attacking midfielders run at him, does he do what he does from centre half and clatter them? Because that's not really that role. You look at Rodri, his role in there is it's not to clatter people. His role is to try and nick the ball away more often than not. I don't know. I would say that's something that they'd have to work on in training for a while before it's just suddenly implemented into a game at Old Trafford. What say you?
And that's something you work on over the summer, not during the week in between, Premier League games or whatever.
Yeah. Listen, it can be done. I think. Look, we're seeing a lot of managers now across world football. They're doing this kind of whatever you want to call fake central midfielders, false nines, inverted fullbacks.
The new name will be the false 4.
The false goalkeepers. He's in the box, but he's not really in between the sticks. That kind of stuff. So look, I don't doubt that he's a player that could do it. If he had the temperament of a Van der Ven, now I think Van der Ven would be better at doing it. Because Van der Ven I'm not saying I would do it, but Van der Ven, again, cool, calm temperament, lovely footballer on the ball, and is press resistant. So I think he would work. Romero, for me, I think I'd crap myself every time a team counterattacks, if I'm really, really honest. But food for thought, right? And versatility needed. So that's all good. Sean, how big is this game in terms of Spurs' season from a league position finish? Now, what I mean by that is, listen, I don't want to start a debate of who's going to win the league and who's not and all that. But for those that do believe that Tottenham are in a title race, this game must be truly pivotal for them because Liverpool are 6 points clear. If they win their game against Bournemouth, they're 9 points clear. And if we lose, if we lose to Man U and they win, it's 9 points. And a 9-point swing over 17 games that's us saying we need to do whatever Liverpool do. We need 3 wins and a draw extra. So it's a 4-game swing. So how big is the game from that point of view? Or do you think we should be worrying about that now, or just concentrating on getting as many points this season and go again next year?
No, look, I put out a tweet last night, and I did it on my community page as well, a poll that said, what would you rather? And I'm going to caveat this because I wasn't looking for the optimism of the fans in terms of whether they think we could win both. I was looking for I was trying to gauge the priority in the minds of the fans. Would you rather beat Man United and lose to City, lose to United and beat City in the Cup, or draw both and then take on City in the replay? And there was about, I don't know, 1,000 votes, give or take, on both on Twitter and on my community page. And they both said the same story. They all said lose to, 70% of people said lose to United, beat City. There was about 100 comments on both saying, what a terrible question. Of course, you want to win both. And I had to like respond to. I'm not asking whether we're optimistic of winning. I'm saying I'm trying to gauge whether or not you would prioritize the league over the cup if you were asked, or what's more important to you. But most people said the cup is more important than the league, and I think that tells its story. That for the majority of Tottenham fans, they don't think that Tottenham can win the league this year, and that they would go for they'd rather a cup run. And I tend to agree. However, what I would say is I think that I don't think we should have expectations. I still think that even 6 points, it's not nowhere near as tricky as a 9-point gap. But Liverpool seem to find a way to pull, even though they're not playing fantastically well, they seem to have a way. And we saw on that graph, how much depth they've got. They seem to find a way to get the results. And I don't think Tottenham have got the depth yet to be able to basically go match them game for game and also get 2 additional wins. So I don't think the league title is plausible, in my opinion. However, I think the top 4 very much is. And if you want to land on the top 4, you've got to reach for the title sort of thing,
I agree. I agree. And
yeah, go on. Sorry, mate.
Oh, no, sorry, go on, mate. Sorry, I thought you'd finished. Go on.
Yeah, just the last thing I'll say is that there's only 6 points. There's 8 points gap between us and Manchester United. If Man United beat us, there's a 5-point gap. That's closable. There's Aston Villa. There's Liverpool. There's lots of teams. Newcastle. There's lots of teams that are sort of chomping at the bit. West Ham, if they can get all their players back, are also dangerous. So I don't want us to take our foot off the accelerator at all in the league. But in terms of, I do think the Man United game is massive. I really do, and I really want us to go and I think a draw. Would I take a draw? I wouldn't take a draw right now. I think we're good enough to beat them.
2-2 in my head. I've got 2-2, a shift to a Spurs win. I feel like these 2 games coming up are tougher than we think.
Massive,
yeah. That's all I've been trying to say the last. I was doing a show this morning with LB. As I told you, I did a video with LB. And I said, it amazes me how every time I'm doing streams now, and I know everyone just wants to be absolutely so positive and ride this wave, which is great. But the scorelines that are coming out, like, oh man, you are crap. It's like, well, okay, for a team that are crap, if they beat us, they're only 5 points behind us. That's a win and a couple of draws. So it's not, when we're saying crap. Also, this is a team that just beat Aston Villa, who are second in the table. This is a team that beat Chelsea. They're very up and down, Man United. That's my worry with them, Sean. I'd rather go into the game knowing that they're in dreadful form or brilliant form and I know what to expect. They are so like this week in, week out. Every week, you don't know what you're going to get from Man United. And
is the best version of United on Sunday better than the best version of Tottenham at the moment with the relative squads?
Well, that's the question. That's the question. I'm hearing today that they've got Sandro Martinez and Casemiro back, which is
they're basically full strength. They're basically full strength now. Yeah.
Mate, no, they're not. They've got 11 first-team injuries.
Still?
Yeah. Man United, this is what I mean. When Spurs fans are talking about our injuries, Man United are looking at over...
Kaz told me last night that most of their first teamers are back now.
Right. Do you want to know who's still injured for Man United?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, fill me in. Yeah, sorry.
No. This is who's injured for Man United. So Amrabat is definitely out. Casemiro is 50-50 to play. Lindelof is definitely out. Malacia is definitely out. Mason Mount's definitely out. Sandro Martinez is 50-50. Anthony is out. Diallo's out. Ericsson's out. Anthony, Diallo, Ericsson, Maguire, Martial, and Shaw are all 50-50 to play. So,
yeah, but they're fit, but it's just whether or not they're all going to
give them. But it for me. Look, I'm not going to sit and praise Man United. I don't think they're great at all. I think if there's anything about us, we would go there and win. I'm just always a bit mindful of our midfield at the moment is not what it normally is. I think if we're going into that game with Bissouma, Bentancur, and Maddison, I think we're winning 3-0, right? At the moment, I'm just watching teams go through our midfield at the moment, and I just want to be a bit cautious. Is that fair? Just to be a little bit cautious.
100%.
You can do.
I don't know which way it's going to go, but I would say the 11 that we're going to put out versus their 11, if they play to their very best, then I think that we might have a problem. I think it'll be a close game either way. But if they don't turn up, if they play like they have been playing a lot of the season, then I think it won't take our very best to get past them. I think it will just take being efficient in certain moments. I share the same concerns around Højbjerg, and for me, like if Pape Sarr is in the squad and everything else is the same, I think Tottenham will be absolutely fine. But for me, it's how match fit are the defenders? Is Ollie, if Højbjerg is selected, is he actually going to care? Because he hasn't looked like he's cared the last couple of games. Ollie Skip's not good enough, and then without Sonny, are the front four going to click? They didn't really click against Burnley. It took a worldie from Pedro Porro to get past them. So I think you could look at the Tottenham team and kind of go, if they click, they're good enough. If they don't, then they won't be. And you could look at Manchester United and think exactly the same thing. It's going to be an interesting game. I hope it's a good game, but I wouldn't take a draw. If you offered me a draw right now, I wouldn't take it because I'm still erring on the side that Tottenham have got enough to beat them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, absolutely. There's been some really good conversations going on in the chat. I'm always keeping an eye and people talking about what they would do in the midfield. And Jimmy, by the way, I'm just listen. You know me, I like to bust opinions with facts. When we're saying Mings hasn't played for like a year, this is not true. Tyrone Mings was part of the third best defence in the league last year from the moment that Unai Emery came in. And Jimmy, just to show you that I'm not making this up. I think facts are really, really important. If you look here, this is the league table. I don't know if anyone can see that. This is the league table for 2023. Okay, it's the league table for 2023. Look where Aston Villa are. Right, look where Aston Villa are. That is nothing short of brilliant from Unai Emery, and Tyrone Mings was part of that team every game from October right the way through to May. He's been injured this year, but October through to May, Aston Villa were the second best team in the country, and Tyrone Mings played every game. So it is a big injury for them. Whether or not you think he's good enough to play for Spurs, this is a different conversation. It's relative. Does that make sense, Sean? It's relative to each club. It can't just be, he's not as good as our player, so he doesn't count. Of course he counts. Buendia counts. Buendia is one of their players. He counts. So let's not do this.
Aston Villa have got more depth. I think since they've been working away and being very efficient with their business. I look at their right hand side and think I would take either of Diaby or the Jamaican fella,
Leon Bailey.
Leon Bailey. They've got on every single game, one of them is sat on the bench for 60 minutes. And I think that both of them walk into our right side at the moment, ahead of Brennan Johnson.
I completely agree.
They're a good team, managed well, coached well, play well, and they've got a lot of depth. They have. Surprising. I'm surprised how great they've been, to be honest. But they are very, very well run.
Yeah, they really are. Look, they really are a very well run football club, but. Hopefully that's what we're seeing at Tottenham now, that we're a well-run football club, and hopefully that's what we're proving to everybody. Slowly but surely, it's going to take time. It's going to take a while to get there. And the reason why I'm not devastated when we lose games, for example, is I think we said at the beginning of the season, Sean, to implement a philosophy, to have this much change, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs. And every time you lose a game, it's not the end of the world. Every time you win a game doesn't mean you're going to win the league. And I'm a firm believer in that there's got to be that kind of level-headedness.
Yeah, bitter and better, mate. Bitter with the better.
Bitter with the better, absolutely. But listen, Sean, we're coming up to a bang on 1 hour, mate. And
where are you going tonight? You out, or are you just
no? It's just a friend's birthday. So I said I'd stick my nose in and say hello, and I wanted a night away from the house and stream it. If I'm brutally honest, it's been a long week.
There's a lot of content the last week, hasn't there? It's been
they have.
Awesome.
Yeah, there has. There has been a lot of content. It's really, really good. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. I think people like me and Sean, we've worked really hard for you guys. I don't think we realise it. It can be quite strenuous, actually. I know people think we just turn on a computer and go, but it is.
Especially with no alcohol, mate. Day 12 of 21. Cannot wait for this month to be over.
Yeah, I haven't had a beer for 12 days, but I think tonight I will have a couple of cold neck oils. I think I will. A
Nice.
couple of neckles. This last point, this is the thing. Man U have only scored 22 goals this season. I don't know about they won't beat us. I think I don't make statements like that, but hopefully they don't beat us. Sean, listen, thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Always a pleasure talking football with you. And
You too, mate.
yeah, everybody, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to Sean, Spurs Talk Show. Subscribe to me. We're all growing. We're all one big, happy little family. We're all growing together. Take care, everyone. Have lovely Friday nights. Enjoy your weekends. And I'm sure you'll see all of us again on Sunday at some point for football conversation. Take care, everyone. See you later. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.